Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between INFJs and ESTJs. I think most people at some point have asked themselves the question, what makes or breaks a romantic relationship? And looking at people's MBTI personality types can give us a good idea as to whether a relationship has a good chance of success. So let's look at what INFJs and ISTJs have in common. Obviously, they're both judgers, which means that these are people who like to organize their life. They're reliable, reachable. They tend to be hard workers. These are people who you can count on in case of emergency. And you'll see that the INFJ and the ISTJ will appreciate that about each other. The other aspect is that the INFJ is the most logical of all the intuitive feelers. So the ESTJ will appreciate that about the INFJ because the ESTJ is obviously a thinker and has extroverted thinking as its first function. So in other words, when the INFJ talks to the ESTJ, they're able to understand each other on the logical stance, and which means also that the INFJ will be able to understand math and science, which is a strength of the ESTJ being a thinker. The other point is that although the INFJ is really an introvert, this person comes across as an extrovert. So in other words, most people believe that the INFJ is the type of person who gets recharged by being with other people. They come across as warm, empathetic, they are very expressive. So the ESTJ will appreciate that about the INFJ, and obviously the ESTJ is an extrovert, but ultimately the INFJ is very much an introvert, probably one of the most introverted of the personality types, because we're looking at energy levels. So in other words, the INFJ having the highest energy doesn't feel recharged by spending time with other people. They most likely will need to spend time alone or with one or two close friends and family members to actually get recharged. The ESTJ doesn't have that problem, so the ESTJ is very much an extrovert and gets energized by being in groups of people. Now, when it comes to areas where they have an issue, obviously the INFJ is a feeler, and actually the INFJ is one of the best people when it comes to understanding relationships. So highly emotionally intelligent, is able to nourish relationships at really deep level, whereas the ESTJ being a thinker and not really understanding subtle about the relationship, they might irritate each other. So the ESTJ having extrovert thinking as its first function is very left brain dominant. So that really will clash with the INFJ being an extrovert feeler. It means that that is a very feminine energy. So they really are at opposite ends. So the INFJ will not feel that his or her emotional, spiritual needs is being met by the ESTJ. The other major issue is that the INFJ has the highest energy of all the 16 personality types, whereas the ESTJ has the lowest energy of all the 16 personality types. So in other words, when the INFJ spends time with the ESTJ, he or she will feel very drained. So they only can spend a small amount of time together. The ESTJ, on the other hand, is that will actually feel energized by being with the INFJ. So it will be some more one-sided type of relationship in terms of the ESTJ will feel attracted and wants to spend time with the INFJ. The INFJ will probably want to keep his or her distance from the ESTJ. The other aspect also is that in terms of brainwave dominance, so the INFJ has a theta brain dominance and the ESTJ has a beta brain dominance. Actually, it has the fastest of all the things personality type. So in other words, they don't see the world the same way. The INFJ is very much an intuitive, and the ESTJ is obviously being a sense perceiver, is very much a sensor. So it has to do with the five senses. So in other words, the INFJ is about the abstract future, whereas the ESTJ has to do with the is actually focused on the concrete past. So this also will have a negative impact on their relationship. So overall, I don't think that actually it's probably really not a good match between these two. So although they are both judgers, they both type of people who are reliable, reachable. These are people also you can count on. And the other aspect also, the energy being has a well-developed thinking function, means that they'll be able to understand each other logically. But the other aspects of one being being really an introvert, the other one being an extrovert, one being very much an intuitive and a feeler, the other one being a sensor and a thinker, that will not fare well. So I would say that this is really a really poor match. So let me know if you agree or disagree with this romantic compatibility analysis between INFJs and ESTJs by commenting below. If you like this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.